I'm Midnight Agent Raw.
And I'm Okame.
We are the Super Media Bros podcast, and we are founding members of the Odd Pods Media Network. Spoopy carbs.
I pay this much for 0 channels.
My name is Jeff.
Odette Muller.
Let's get creepy with some fucking spaghetti.
Yes.
What if CreepyPasta had cheese all over it? Shredded cheese, just like you get at Olive Garden when you're just like, all right, I'll tell you when. But then you just never say when, so you get all the fucking cheese.
But plot twist, that's not really cheese.
No, it's not.
It's human flesh. That's the real creepypasta right there.
It sounded like you said cripple pasta.
Cripple pasta, yeah.
Ooh, what if
How
that
do you
was
think
a
they
thing?
get the flesh?
From a cripple?
Yeah. Well, no, they cripple them first. So they run away when they're trying to chop off all the skin and stuff.
Ugh. Welcome to episode 141 of the Super Media Bros podcast, Spooky Media Bros, episode 2 for the month of October 2020. I'm Midnight Agent Raw.
I'm Okame.
If you haven't guessed it by now, we're talking about creepypasta.
It's good for your health. It's part of the food pyramid.
We had some mac and cheese earlier with chili.
And now it's time for some other pasta.
Of the creepy variety.
To feed our brains and our imagination.
Yeah, I mean, and don't get us wrong, as much as you could probably sit there and be like, yeah, we want a deep dive from these two. We're probably not going to give you the deep dive in this episode. I think this is going to be more or less just a casual conversation about stuff we liked, stuff we didn't like, some personal favorites of ours, and maybe a ranking. We could probably, as we talk, be like, is this an S tier or is this like an F tier?
Or just get the fuck out of here.
Like, get the fuck out of tier?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't even belong in the tier list. It's just like, get the fuck out of
It's
tier.
like, nope.
Bye.
Yep.
Would you like to take the reins on this one, sir?
Ever since I started getting into creepypastas, the society has quadrupled since then. Like, it's gotten really blown out of hand, which is not in a bad way. I'm just saying it's exploded with content.
You mean just on the subreddits and all that shit?
Yeah, subreddits, the website itself. I mean, just that and all the video game adaptations where it's custom made or stuff like that, or movie adaptations, TV adaptations. Creepypasta is officially a booming thing, since I don't know how long ago.
I mean, probably around 2010, a little bit before that, maybe?
I want to say a couple of years before that.
Yeah, because I definitely remember, I think, just go ahead and get it out of the way. I think everybody that thinks creepypasta immediately goes to Slender Man. We just go ahead and get that elephant in the room out of the fucking way.
I had this discussion with you earlier. I think it was why I don't personally like Slender Man as a concept. I like the character, but I think what ruined it for me is just how society thinks that is the main staple of the creepypasta name, which it's kind of just to me now. A lot of the reasoning behind it is because they try and adapt it to different story elements of the main story and video game adaptations with different characters playing as the quote Slender Man antagonist. And I think that's where it's starting to ruin it for me, is because they're taking the original idea and just using that to recreate their own version of Slender Man.
You mean in terms of when the video games are made, it's not like the Slender Man games themselves they're all right. I don't mind them, but there's so many ripoffs out there.
Yeah.
And I'll go ahead and say it. I don't think you've seen the movie, but I actually saw it. The one that came out a couple of years ago. Dude, I wanted to like it. I really, really wanted to give it a chance. I wanted it to be good, but it was so watered down.
But that's the curse with adaptations like that. If you have anybody in Hollywood wanting to make it in film, I mean, 80-90% of the time it's going to be just a train wreck.
The thing that I was disappointed in the most, it felt like it was too in the world rather than it being like, oh, we don't believe in this bullshit. And then it happens. I mean, they did some of that, but I really would have tried to make it more reality based. And I'm surprised they didn't do it found footage style either.
See, that would have been more believable and more, it would give more of that fear factor behind the character, knowing that you have a first person perspective, seeing everything happen basically.
Right. Do you think it would have been a little more palatable, like as a film?
It would have been more tolerable, I guess, yeah, to witness it in that aspect. Because it's not just a straight shot, here's the creature, here's the happening, basically. Like, it's giving you kind of like a lore backstory, some kind of like finding of it. And then it's like, okay, the baddie's here. What's going on, basically?
Yeah, and I'll give it this. I will give the movie this. They definitely stuck to the look. They stuck to the look of it. It looked good. It looked scary. It only got, I swear to God, it only made me like actually like jump scare like once. And it was near the end of the movie. And I feel like it should have been more. It should have been better, but it just wasn't. And I mean, that's just one major adaptation. I mean, the other adaptation we talked about briefly, I think way the fuck back within like the first 6 episodes, was Channel Zero. And that was a pretty good series. I really liked how they went ahead and just expanded on the concept of it.
But see, that's the thing I'm starting to wonder is like, with how popular CreepyPasta is, why is it so difficult for it to get adapted into other forms of media? You have horror movies, horror TV shows, and everything else in between that have a lot of major success. So why is it that when creepypastas are brought into it, it's like, it just doesn't work out? Like, is it just bad writing, or is it bad directing, or bad, whatever behind it? Or is it just the story is just not palatable enough for that type of media, basically?
I feel like they're picking the wrong ones, honestly. If you want to get into it, more, I feel like they picked some of the wrong ones to adapt, and then people want to change a little too much about it.
That's a whole nother subject I think we talked about the last time we brought it up was, ones that we want to see as films or TV shows or whatnot. I know the first two we talked about weren't ones that we would bring up per se, because I mean, Candle Cove was kind of a short-lived creepypasta on its own when it comes to like the length of the story. So it's really hard to expand something that wasn't meant to be expanded on, basically.
Right.
As far as like Slender Man, it kind of has the same concept, but it's like a one-trick pony. Like, what else can he do?
Is it weird that I would like to see like an Evil Dead concept? Granted, I know that's kind of far-fetched, or it sounds weird, but it would lend itself to the whole kind of cabin in the woods setting or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it is frightening to know, like, okay, this could happen in my hometown. He could come out of anywhere. But I feel like, what if he was confined somewhere where people had to go, like kind of like the Blair Witch was, where you have to venture out to find whatever it is.
Well, I mean, it kind of has the same concept as Blair Witch. It's like this creature or this entity or whatever in the woods, and you don't even know it's there until it's too late.
True. But I mean, what if somebody knew it was there anyway, and they were just like, fuck this, let's go find it. And, like to the extent that I'm talking about, where there's no modern technology. I think it might lend itself if there was no modern technology, like you didn't have laptops, you didn't have cell phones. You just went out, you and your friends in the woods. There's no reception. You're kind of remote. And then that makes it scary because you can't just like call out and be like, oh, something's happening to me. Because I'm sorry.
It's not an immediate response. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm sorry, but I think that the whole, my cell phone's dead or my phone has no service. I think that trope is played the fuck out in horror movies, honestly.
Mm-hmm. And even in movies that are not meant to be horror movies, that trope is played out.
God, tell me about it. Jesus.
Now, there was one I was mentioning to you earlier, and I couldn't think of the name of it, but I couldn't find it. It was a story about this guy that lived with his parents when he was a kid, and he found this box of feathers at one point when he was going back to his old house as an adult. And he would have some kind of like, I guess, a psychosis trip or something like that with his brain, to where he saw these feathers and there was some kind of traumatic event that happened with those feathers, or it was that with some kind of like spiritual connection or anything like that. But anyway, the guy basically had this moment where he was on top of a building, like it was like a short height building, and he was grabbing a screwdriver and he shoved the feathers into his skin with the screwdriver. Like he would poke holes into his arms and stuff, and he would think to himself that he would be able to fly with these feathers. It was more of like a mental like horror aspect because like he had this like traumatic experience or something traumatic happened to him to where this box of feathers was like some kind of like trigger object basically.
Yeah.
So I thought that was an interesting read. Would they be able to expand on it? Probably not. I mean, not unless there was like, where did the feathers come from?
Did you see Michael Keaton in Birdman?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, I'm not saying that was the, I'm not saying that was the thing, but it was the thing.
Yeah.
Not really, but.
Now, I want to say there might have been like a bird creature or something or some kind of entity with feathers, but yeah, like I said, you would have to expand on that more with, I guess, some kind of entity or expand on the entity itself if there is one.
Right.
But yeah, like I said, I thought that was an interesting read, which I'm like I said, I can't think of the name of it, but I read it like 4 or 5 years ago.
I remember you were trying to tell me you thought it was called Feathers or something like that.
But I looked up the name Feathers and I must have looked up the wrong one because it was like a more recent one. It was like 2017 or 2019 or something. So.
Well, if you're out there listening to this and you know what this story is called, fucking tell us.
Mm-hmm.
Because we feel stupid right now. Because we did try to look for it.
I mean, we always are stupid, but
right.
You know.
Hey there, we're BFYTW Podcast. I'm Pantsless Aaron, I'm the host, and we are 3 silly people playing very silly games for fakey points that don't count for anything. Our permanent team captains are a veteran and a podcaster, and a veteran podcaster, it's Stevie!
Hey guys, it's Midnight Smoke here. I love being funny, goofy, and I'm here for your entertainment.
And his permanent opponent, my oldest friend and a gamer and a storyteller, it's Jorge!
Hey guys, Jorge here, HH_Empire, and I am the logical voice to this Maelstrom of Chaos, sometimes.
Well, if you like silly people playing silly games, then you want to come hang out with us at BFYTW Podcast every week. That's BFYTWpodcast.com.
Let's move on to another one that we might like or not like. I kind of want to just kind of talk about some of the quote-unquote legendary ones, you know, the ones that have just been around for fucking centuries, and I don't want to fucking deep dive into them again. I just kind of want to make mention of them. Everybody knows the fucking Smile Dog. Everybody knows Ben Drowned. Everybody knows fucking Lavender Town. All these other, you know, all these other kinds. And I remember, like, when Aiden started getting into this stuff, I think one of the first ones he looked at was the Ben Drowned one. That's the Legend of Zelda one, right?
That's the Majora's Mask one, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it, but I feel like it got played out after a while.
I think the problem with that one is it tried to be like The Ring, I think it was, with the VHS.
Right. It was, yeah, like you said, the Ring, but with a video game.
Yeah. So I wasn't really, I mean, even though I'm a Zelda fan, I wasn't really that attached to that one, to be honest.
And then Squidward Suicide was one that just made its fucking rounds to the point that very recently it actually got mentioned on SpongeBob, like legitimately got mentioned on the fucking cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget when Aiden saw that. He was like, holy crap.
They finally touched base.
Yeah, he was like, they finally did the Squidward Suicide reference. I was like, really?
You know, one of my favorite cartoon-based ones, which is only done justice if you watch the, I'm assuming it's still up on YouTube, but there is a YouTube like video of Suicidemouse.avi.
Is that the Mickey Mouse one?
Yes.
Dude, Aiden sent me a video of that. Holy crap. It's kind of creepy.
It
like,
is.
no pun intended. It legitimately
is. It is, because the idea is there was this old 1930s Mickey Mouse cartoon made that never made the cut. Well, somebody at Walt Disney found the copy of it and released it. And it was basically Mickey walking through this cityscape, and it was just a loop, basically. Well, the video that I found on YouTube, like, pretty much accurately represents it. It's a very grainy, just like messed up film reel of that cartoon happening. And in the background is like this warped music. It sounds like fucked up as hell. But at the same time, it pauses the audio for a little while. And then it brings back like this low pitched scream. Like it's like a muted scream. And then it gets louder and louder. Well, it's actually a woman getting murdered or abused or something like that. And then Mickey's face, like he's walking forward and he has no expression on his face until he turns to the camera and he's smiling. And in the background, you still hear that woman screaming her ass off. And then out of nowhere, there are just blank images of like people's faces that are like either scratched off or old pictures of people that were, I guess, murdered or something like that, just randomly here and there. But it's just a single image just constantly looping over and over again, and him just turning to you and smiling. It's just, it fucking creeps me out, and I love it.
the things that scare me the most are when you least suspect them to do it and they break the fourth wall and look at you directly. I don't know what it is. If I'm having a serious conversation with someone, I can hold eye contact. If I'm just kind of bullshitting or I need to like, because when we do this, like there's times where I'm staring off when I'm talking just because I'm trying to keep my train of thought going. But whenever you're concentrating on something and you take yourself completely out, you're not paying much mind to it, and then it just fucking looks directly at you, makes eye contact. That is some scary shit.
Mm-hmm. Especially with the sound effect in the background that is like murder happening in the background. So
Moida
makes it even worse.
Murder Mouse. Just call him Murder Mouse.
Instead of Dead Mouse.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like this is Murder Mouse and then Dead Mouse is the victim.
American Horror Story, Murder Mouse.
American Horror Story, Disney World.
Well, I mean, that is a horror story.
Sips coffee and tea. Let's go ahead and address the other animal, the other elephant in the room. Fucking Jeff the Killer.
I'm not a big fan of that one at all.
I'm not either.
I think that one and the Rake are kind of the same to me, even though the Rake's a little bit more tolerable. I don't know. I can't get into either one of them.
Right. And we watched the movie The Rake.
Mm-hmm.
A year or two ago?
I think it was like 2 years ago.
God damn, it's forever ago.
But yeah, I mean,
and I liked that.
Yeah, that was a decent little adaptation of that creepypasta. But you see these like disfigured horror creatures or people that are turned into like these disfigured creatures, in most horror movies already. And it's like, what can you do differently? Now, the Rake, I mean, it was just a very scrawny, gangly with these, nail-like claws or like, Freddy Krueger looking shit going on. And I think the teeth were like sharp as hell too, if I'm not mistaken.
My name is Jeff.
But with Jeff, yeah, it's just like this whited out face with like this creepy ass smile and these bright ass eyes like in your face. And it's like, oh, okay.
Oh, here we go again. Another one of these.
Yeah. It doesn't do enough for me to make it have that oomph behind it.
I hate to say it, but that's like the one that comes to mind every time. It's like, oh, which one is your least favorite? That one.
Yeah. Because it's kind of like the Slender Man thing for me. It's like it's so overdone with popularity and it has no like appeal to me whatsoever. Even though Slender Man, the icon itself is appealing, Jeff the Killer is not. So it's like, poof.
Yeah. But if I had to pick between the two of those, I absolutely pick Slender Man every day of the fucking week. Were there any other ones that you really didn't care for other than that one? Or I mean, that could have been better.
I'm kind of on the fence about this one because I keep thinking about it. The theater.
Yeah, same.
The idea is cool about like the constant looping back and forth to the same spot and going to the same area again and again. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. It's like, it's not creepy enough with every progressing moment getting worse and worse. It's not enough to get me like unnerved, basically.
Right.
Yeah, like I said, it could have some improvement on it here and there, which I would, push for. Maybe they'll have like a reboot of it of some sort, which I may not have found it if they did. So don't quote me on that. But yeah, I'm not too thrilled about it, but I'm not like hating on it too much. Like I'm kind of like, I'm in the middle of on that one.
Right.
You talked about Smile Dog, which I fucking hate that one. Because it's just like it's like chainmail from like the AOL days where you open this image on an email and then it's like, oh, you need to share this with 20 other people or you're gonna die.
What's gonna be the next chainmail? What's gonna be the next share this or you're gonna die? Let's make that right now. What can we make that's fucking stupid?
Bully McGuire.
Yes. Share this with your friends or I'm gonna throw some dirt in your eye.
Heavily edit that photo right there and just send it to people. It's like, if you do not, he will throw dirt in your eye.
Or you'll cry about it. That should be part of the letter where he's like, you just open it and he just looks at you. You read like the chainmail, like, part where share this, blah, 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 blah. And then the photo. You can cry about it?
No, it'd be fucked up if you sit there and read. It's like either you send this or they're going to make another Spider-Man from Sam Raimi.
See, that's the fucked up part because I actually do like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films except for that one.
I know. But
except for that one.
But they'll make that next one just like the third one. They'll continue a Bully McGuire Spider-Man.
Dude, I would actually watch a Bully McGuire Spider-Man. Like if they made a full fucking movie where it was him just doing that shit, I'd watch the fuck out of it.
Well, I mean, now with how popular that meme is with all the adaptations and like all the other Marvel movies, yeah, I mean it's gonna be even better than it was with the third movie.
Yeah, no shit. Digressing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fucking funny. Just do a Bully Maguire chainmail. So
smileMaguire.jpg.
Smagwire. It sounds like smegma.
Yeah.
Smeg Maguire. Ooh.
There you go.
Gross.
That's the next chainmail, guys. Expect that in the inboxes real soon.
Cody's over there rubbing his hands like the dude behind the tree, waiting on shit. Like the meme that's going around on Facebook where the dude in the yellow jacket's like, mm-hmm.
Or that rapper with like, when you roll your Play-Doh just right.
Oh, Birdman, where he's just like, yeah. I'm rolling that Play-Doh.
Yeah.
Maybe Birdman's the guy with the feathers in his arms.
That makes sense.
I think we fucking cracked the mystery.
He's like, I'm going to roll those feathers in that bitch's arm.
Yeah. Leather so soft, motherfucker.
Get that lotion on there.
I kind of want to move on to some deeper cuts that you and I both really enjoy. These are stories, that really hit me enough to where I kept fucking replaying them or rereading them over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
One of which was, we were talking about earlier, the stairs in the doorway.
Mm-hmm.
And that was probably my first full read, because a lot of the creepypastas I would just kind of glance at and I would go over the cliff notes and be like, but this was one of the ones that I actually sat and was like, okay, definitely dig this one. It's this guy that he takes a night security job at this college campus, and he has the keys to every room, and he makes it a point during his nightly routine to visit a new room that he's not been in each night. Well, he eventually finds this door that goes through some stairs, or it goes into like this closet or some kind of boiler room area stairwell, but the stairs just keep fucking going. And he basically ventures into this dark abyss, and he talks about how he's been in there for weeks, months maybe, and that he hears all these voices and these creatures are down there, and he finally finds his way back and crawls out of this room and fucking calls for 911 or whatever. And when he comes back, these people are like, well, we have no fucking idea like what room you're talking about. There's nothing there. But he's all clawed up and he's, beat the shit out of and stuff. So obviously there's something happened to him, but they just can't figure out what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, he's released them to like everywhere. There was a bunch of these entities that he accidentally fucking released. But the build to that, I think the reason I like that is because when you start reading it, it sounds like this really, how do I put it? It sounds like a really just, calm story, which I think some of these do start out like that. Most of them do.
Mm-hmm.
But it starts out, you're like, oh man, I'm gonna get this like biography of this kid. Because it's really detailed how he's talking about like, oh, my parents were not poor, but they were not well-to-do either. And, he was honestly trying to earn his way through college, all this other bullshit like that. He made like B's and C's and all this other bullshit. And you're like, okay, and get some character background. And then it just dives right in. And I think that's the moment where I was like, fucking A. I've really liked this one a lot.
Kind of reminds me of the angel statue. I think it's similar to it because there was a babysitter that was watching these kids, and apparently she keeps seeing this angel statue in the yard or something like that, and it's like constantly moving around the house. Well, they noticed that it was in the bedroom of one of the kids' rooms, I think it was, and she called the parents and told the parents what was going on. The parents said, we don't have an angel statue.
Oh, hell fucking no.
So they came home to the police everywhere, and there was EMTs rolling out bodies, basically.
Oh, nope.
And there was an angel statue still in that bedroom whenever they panned up to it.
No, I'm good. Fuck that.
Which I like that one too, but it's one of those ones like, well, how much more can you expand to make it, more?
I started cracking up a little bit when you were like, oh, the police showed up. I'm thinking Sting, Andy Summers, and Stuart Copeland are just fucking standing outside. Don't stand so close to me, angel statue. Don't stand.
Actually, it's like sending out an SOS.
There's another one I wanted to talk about. Pen Pal. I've mentioned this a bunch of times before, probably. Pen Pal is one of my favorites just because it's a combination of 6 different stories by the same guy. But they eventually get pieced together, and if you read every one of them back to back, it's a whole story about this kid that grows from being like a 4 or 5-year-old well into his adulthood, and he's basically telling the story of a stalker that has just been in his fucking life, like a child molesting stalker that has been in his life unbeknownst to him And then as he's going back and piecing all of his childhood together, he comes to realize that this guy's been there the whole time. And it's really, I think this one hits home a lot because it could really happen. And it's one I keep going back to because it's also very well done in the fact that there's twists and turns at every arc to the end of each chapter has this real, like, I'm not trying to say it's like M. Night Shyamalan twist, but there's like a, oh my God, like revelation for almost the peak of each story. And the more you read, the more fucked up it gets. And it's one of the few that made me not sleep very well at night because fuck that shit.
Well, yeah, usually the ones that can actually happen are the ones that really just fuck with you the most.
And I mean, I think Butcherface is another one too. Butcherface is one that probably could happen. I mean, it's not too far-fetched to, come across, because Butcherface deals with these kids that find this video, or like younger adults that find this sack of videotapes in a VCR because they're cleaning this house out, or they find it somewhere, and they plug up this VCR and they start popping these tapes in, and all these tapes just have this really mysterious dude bag over. It's almost like Jason Voorhees, like second Friday the 13th in a way, where he's just got this burlap sack on his fucking head, and he's a giant brute, and he's self-mutilating, or he's just he records himself doing just random shit. But then they start questioning, is this dude like really around them all the time? Is he following them? He apparently had lived in one of the dude's houses before, or he's still living around. And the kids get obsessed with this, or one of them gets really obsessed with this guy. And his parents make them burn the tapes and all this shit. They're like, oh, you're going too far with this, blah blah blah. And then come to find out years later, one of the kids is still obsessed over it. And that was the whole idea behind Butcherface, is that all his videos, like, he's spreading fear and paranoia. And that was the way he took over, because there's a whole entry in there where he's talking about, and I'll spread my, I can't remember the exact words, but it's basically like, I'll spread my evil to all my disciples.
Right.
And his disciples are just the people that fall in and they're like, oh God, and get obsessed and follow him around and shit.
Mm-hmm.
I like that one a lot.
Those little like cult phenomenons.
Yeah, I think those are the ones that are more interesting too, where, like I said, it could happen. It's a little far. Some of it's a little far-fetched, but it could happen given the circumstances. And I don't know. I tend to fall in with, like the mystery side of it. Not so much like the spooky, like in your face kind of shit, but the very subliminal, or there's like, because the dude at one point gets obsessed with like the CV symbol that he draws on everything, and he's just like fucking sketching it all over the place in his room, and just getting batshit like the dude, the meme on the internet where the dude's like got the fucking red string going, the theory guy or whatever.
Yeah, it's all coming together.
It's all fucking coming together.
Yeah.
The other one I remembered was Correspondence. Now, I don't know that I want to spoil this one for a lot of people that maybe have never heard of this one, but it definitely is fucked up. It deals with literal email correspondence back and forth between a few friends, and the messages keep getting more and more fucked up. That's all I'm going to say, because it does peek into some really wild shit.
Mm-hmm. Just let your imagination run wild there.
Like Hulkamania?
Yep.
Brother. That's all I picture that goddamn dude. Brother.
Just imagine that was the new chainmail picture.
Okay, so if we're going back here, and it's the chainmail picture, it's Hulk Hogan. It's red and yellow Hulk Hogan. It's Hulkamania Hulk Hogan. What is the picture of him doing? What is he doing?
Either that gif of him like breathing real heavily after he's like, yeah, or just him just like having that creepy like smile, like if it got edited where his smile was like a little bit more higher up than normal. And he just has like the full on mustache and the bandana on. He's just looking at you like, brother.
What if it was Randy Savage?
It's enough to get me to the boiling point.
And that's the boiling point, is if you don't share the fucking.
Yep.
you don't share the chainmail.
Yeah. Randy Savage is coming to snap you like a Slim Jim.
Dig it.
Oh yeah. If you don't send it, he gets 3 minutes of playtime.
I got you for 3 minutes of playtime.
Yep. We need a vote, because like that kind of goes back to the Spider-Man theory right there.
Okay, do you want Bully Maguire? Do you want Bonesaw McGraw? Or do you want Hulk Hogan as your future chainmail? Let us know in the comments of whatever social media you follow us on, and this episode gets released.
And whatever the winner is, I'm going to make that picture happen.
Yeah, fuck yeah. No, we need to start the chain mail. Like, we should probably start the chain mail, but not do it like an email. We should just start it on Twitter, or we just tweet it out. And it's like, if you don't retweet this, you're going to get like 1,000 elbow drops in the 3 minutes of playtime. Or you get all the dirt kicked in your eye for 3 minutes. Or you get brothered for like 20 minutes.
Not bothered, but brothered.
Oh, brother.
That's funny.
Dude, what if that's the new thing instead of being bothered by something? I've been brothered by this by this glorious burden.
Winnie the Hulk.
What do you Hulk? Oh, brother. He just rips his fucking red shirt. Now he's just naked.
I need honey.
That's the wrong kind of honey.
I can talk about 2 of them that I really like, which I know most people are not going to really care for one of them, but the Where the Bad Kids Go. I actually really like that one.
Yeah, because we talked about that one before we started, or you were trying to figure out this specific one. So
yeah, I mean, it's kind of on the same lines as Candle Cove, but it's this TV show that's subjected for kids. And anytime anybody else watches the show, it's all static. Like there's nothing happening basically. So what happens is there's a lot of random shit going on. And then at the end of every episode, there's this steel door. And there's like moaning and like crying and like painful noises behind it. And there's like this Arabic kind of symbolism wrote on the door. Well, this guy grew up still obsessed with where this place was, filming it at.
Right.
So he travels there because he's a journalist. He travels there. Come to find out, this place has been inactive for like decades. I mean, it was like probably like 50, 60 years before this place was even used.
Shit.
And this guy's probably like in his 20s or 30s, I think, at the time. Well, he discovers inside the building, goes up some floors and stuff like that. He finds where the production was. There's this specific room that he goes into where it's just, I mean, everything's normal, at this point. He goes into this one room and it's this bloody mess of bodies and corpses and everything like that. And in the middle of the room is a microphone, one of those silver old school radio microphones that have dropped down in the middle of it.
Oh, like the bullet microphone.
Yeah. And it's capturing all the noises all around that room from all the tortured souls and all the, decaying bodies and shit like that.
Fuck.
Yeah. Well, he finds that door and the door roughly translates to where the bad kids go. So it makes you wonder, like, is this the room where kids' corpses are being used to make these sounds to put on the end of the episode every time it airs?
That makes about all the sense in the fucking world, too.
For one. 2, how is it being aired when the main production room is not even being used for a long fucking time? Like, where's it coming from?
Where did it go?
Where did it come from?
Cotton Eye Joe. Cotton Eye Ho.
Yep. But yeah, other than that, I mean, everybody that knows me knows my all-time favorite creepypasta, and it needs to be properly done.
Yes, let's go ahead and say it.
The Russian sleep experiment.
Yes, god damn it. And they talked about doing this as a film a while back. I fucking remember us talking about that being a thing, but I haven't heard shit about it since then.
Probably because some other shit came up and they just didn't have the funding for it, or they got caught up behind. I don't know, but whatever. I'm sure it'll eventually get made the right way by somebody who knows what they're fucking doing. But until then, everybody should know the story behind it. So it's really not going to matter me telling you the whole thing. The main thing is the concept behind it is, how does the mind work when you get no sleep? And I mean, not like a day or two of no sleep. Like, this whole entire experiment is basically like a week of no sleep. Like, it's just straight up what actually is going on in the brain to where you have this psychosis of just like craziness and rage and all those other emotions that you don't know you're actually dealing with until you like finally go to sleep. Like, the concept is either A, your mind is just like so stressed out that it's making you react a certain way, or B, there's something being held back by the fact that you're able to go into like a slumber state. Like, there's this demonic entity or this like spiritual being that is so awakened with like anger and just destruction that your mind has to go to sleep at certain points for a long period of time for it to actually calm down itself.
Right.
So I would like for them to really expand that part of it, but still flesh out the other like 90% of the creepypasta. Because basically, it's just an experiment of how long can the human body stay awake for, and what does it do?
Well, now that I'm reading about it, this is being made still, and it's in post-production. Not only is there post-production, if you go to the IMDb page and check it out, there are set photos, like screen caps from a potential trailer.
Ooh.
It's just called The Sleep Experiment because the synopsis is that 2 detectives begin an investigation into a disastrous secret military experiment where 5 prisoners were kept awake for 30 days in a sealed gas chamber. So it looks really cool. But I mean, as long as we're getting it, fuck yeah, I'll check it out when it comes out because that's the one that you and I have been championing for so goddamn long.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a awesome concept to me because, like I said, it makes you like think. It doesn't just have like, ooh, it's scary, or wow, that's terrifying, or ew, that's disgusting. It's more of like, wait a minute, hold on 1 second.
Right, and then this could seriously happen.
Yeah. I mean, you don't fucking know. You could be having this facility somewhere in the world that's doing this shit to people.
Right, and I wouldn't doubt if this actually was fucking happening.
Yeah.
I think that's about all I got, man.
Yeah, like I said, I'm pretty sure there's thousands upon thousands upon thousands of more stories out there, which I'm not going to dive into any of them because there's probably going to be a lot of just like repeats of shit. And I mean, a lot of the concepts nowadays, there's not many good ones that I can sit there and say, yeah, I can vouch for that one.
Yeah, same here. I mean, honestly, if you go to creepypasta.com, they're still updating stories every day. And if you like that kind of stuff and you want new shit, you can just go there and read every day. There's something different there. Or you can check out the Reddit forum, or, I mean, hell, one of my favorite corners of the internet is still the fucking r/no sleep forum, because I think those stories are just as good as the creepypastas, if not a little bit better. Because creepypasta initially, like we were saying at the beginning of the show, initially, like, creepypasta started out just being, short campfire stories that you could fucking just share with people on the internet. And then they started just diving into these like 25, 50, 1 hour long, sessions of reading time.
But also I think the difference between that and no sleep is they're diving into other forms of media like video games and cartoons and stuff like that, which, yeah, it can be scary at times, but at the same time, it's not that terrifying anymore to me. Like,
the old school ones are the best ones. Not all the old school ones, but like the older stories,
yeah,
they hold up better to me.
Yeah. Like, I mean, there was one, I think it dived into like theories rather than just creepypastas, but like a lot of the old school cartoons from, I think, the 90s on.
Like the Rugrats one?
Like the Rugrats one, the Ed, Ed and Eddie one, I liked a lot. They basically rehash like what is actually going on, but in a more like sinister way. Like the whole theory with Angelica and the Rugrats was basically the only living child, and was reimagining all the kids as, who they would have been basically if they hadn't suffered from whatever ailment that they suffered based on their personalities.
Exactly.
So that was pretty cool.
Right, because I want to say that one of them was, wasn't Tommy like a miscarry?
Tommy was a miscarriage. The twins were stillborn, I think, because they weren't sure if it was a girl or a boy.
Right.
And then, who was the other one?
Susie?
Well, no, I think Susie was still alive. Like, Susie was another kid.
Because they're the same age. So Susie is her confidant or her friend or whatever.
But I think it was the main 4 kids was the ones that was the more sinister, like, telling of, basically.
Right.
And then, of course, like I said, the
Ed, Ed and Eddie.
Ed and Eddie one, yeah, that's right. So basically, all the kids living in the cul-de-sac was a form of purgatory, but it was from different eras of time. Like, it was, Ed was from when comic books started becoming a thing back in the 20s or 30s, I think it was. Mm-hmm. Like, that was when it was starting to become big because he was really into that kind of stuff. Eddie was, I think, in the 50s or the 60s, one of the two. And he was always into like hustling people and swindling people and stuff like that. And then other kids were all from, different time eras and stuff like that. But basically, like, they all died at certain points of time, and their purgatory was that cul-de-sac, basically.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I like the theories too, because it's a different type of, spooky, because you grow up, most of us grew up watching these cartoons, And we already know what they're about, and we're already familiar with the characters themselves and the personalities. So when you give them a backstory for these personalities, that's what makes it a little more fucked up. I think that's a good place to call it, honestly, this time.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of ranked them on our own in between all the talking.
Right. Because, I mean, if we're going like top tier shit, I think Russian Sleep Experiment is absolutely a fucking S tier creepypasta in terms of just the fucked up factor, the it could be possible factor, and just the story building in the world of that story. Obviously, Jeff the Killer is a goddamn F because fuck that one.
Yeah.
Really, it's subjective. I mean, we could sit here and go on and on all night as far as official rankings, but I mean...
And then most of y'all will probably hate us for it and be like, writing us like, y'all suck.
If you think we suck because we hate Jeff the Killer, let us know in the comment section below and we'll tell you why you're fucking wrong.
Smile Dog was the best one ever. You know, stuff like that.
We're like, fuck you, dog.
You know, rate us on, you know, Apple Podcasts. Be like, we give you 1 star because you said Jeff the Killer sucks.
This is the second episode this month where we're talking about giving us a 1-star rating. If you feel like we're worth 1 star.
That's the scary part.
Yeah. What, that we're worth 1 star?
Yeah. Are we really worth 1 star?
Donate to us on coffee.com. That's going to be in the show notes below. Buy some fucking merchandise. I promise we're going to put sweaters up. Just bear with us, please. We're gonna put sweaters on that motherfucker.
We're doing this shit.
Yeah,
we're gonna clothe your naked bodies.
Right. I believe we have hoodies. I'll have to check again. But again, sweaters, hoodies, whatever. Clothe your naked bodies with us.
With our brand.
Fans.
Both of you.
All 2 of you. It probably is just 2 of you now.
They're like, what happened to them?
What happened to them? They went away for a month. But don't worry, I think we're gonna put a fucking bonus episode out about that shit, which is ironically will be coming out during the month of October because it is some scary goddamn shit for the both of us too. So yeah. Hooray. All right, so follow us on social media. That's all in the fucking show notes below. Subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Super Media Brothers. If it exists, you know, go to it.
Yeah, no shit. And there shouldn't be any mistaking. It's our stupid fucking asses on the search bar.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Very distinctive colors. We're very retro.
We try to be. But anyway, yeah, I think we're going to just bounce on out of here because the coffee has run low and I feel like I need more.
Yep.
So until next week, I've been Agent Raw.
And I've been Old Comer.
Shades on.
We're off.